Hey everyone, Wanderbot here, and welcome back to Runers. So, today's going to be a bit different. I didn't record this last night because I was playing Depth, which is a great game, and I have some videos going up on that shortly. Depth and Sproggywood. Actually, Sproggywood just came out. But, I forgot to record this last night, and usually I record and, render overnight. So, the situation is I don't have a whole lot of time to render the video, and if I manage to get all the way to the end, I'll do it anyway. I'm not going to sink this run for no reason. But this is going to be my semi-suicidal stupid run, where I play a melee build on the intimidating difficulty, and we'll see how that goes. I will admit, I'm actually much more awake than I usually am, so this might actually give me a huge boon, or it could make no difference. But, usually it takes almost an hour and a half, 2 hours of video to get, all the way to the end of this game, which is pretty nuts. And if I, do one of my normal, slow-based, cowardly runs, we're probably, well, this video would probably have to come out in parts somewhere around midnight, which is kind of a pain in the ass for everybody. So I would rather actually just, just see how well a melee build, oh, jeez, how well a melee build works in intimidating, which, honestly, might actually not be nearly as bad as I think it would be. Kind of really depends. Now, we're running Bard. We're a Dwarven Bard. I don't look it, considering you don't see a whole lot of fresh-faced, Dwarven Bards running around the world. And, especially not blonde ones. In fact, you almost never see a blonde dwarf. Ever, really. Wow. I should do some fan art. Or, not fan art, some just, like, art of a blonde dwarf. Because they're always black-haired and, red-headed and brown-haired, Very rarely do I honestly cannot remember a single piece of, like, artwork. Yep. Oh, shit. I've never seen a piece of artwork showing a blonde dwarf. Not even in The Hobbit, come to think of it. Most of them, I mean, there's white hair. I guess it's kind of close-ish. Not really. But, so, we're playing as the... Oh, I got a double combiner. I was wondering what I just picked up. So, we're playing as the dwarf, which means we get an extra 40% damage to anything close to us. And it looks like the way it handles close is you have to be real close, like pretty much right up next to them, which honestly disappoints me a little bit. But it also feels like there's kind of a mid-ground where it's like just kind of a 0% buff or detraction, because it says between 40 and 70%, plus 40, minus 70%. And I think the reality of the situation is, let's just get in here, take out the hermit, more or less cripple the rats. But I think that there's like a mid zone where you don't actually have a whole lot of like boosts or minuses, which is nice, because it means that, the dwarf isn't completely a one-trick pony. Oh, that's a +1 rat. Well, luckily we've got a lot of health sticking around, so maybe we'll get lucky here, and this game will actually be friendly to us. Because honestly, I could probably make it to the very, very end if I had, if I had enough health pickups. The problem we usually run into isn't the fact that we get killed in any particular situation. Like, I think it was, 2 runs ago? Where I got absolutely smoked by a monster, but apart from that, it's usually been just running out of health. Murders me. Unfortunately, we're on floor 1, which always seems to be pretty gracious with its health drops, so I can't exactly use this as any kind of meter for how things will go. And, I mean, maybe we're also getting to the point where I'm good enough at this game to clear it with less stress than I think. I'm taking a little bit of hits. I want to get an accompanying spell, but currently we're not getting, like, any runes whatsoever. And to me, that's a bit of a pain in the butt. Oh, I'm about to sneeze. Oh, this is the worst. Okay. I think I got it under wraps. So there are a couple of new spells that I want to attach to the build. First and foremost, though, we want Prismatic Devil. We don't want Flame Devil. It seemed like that actually messed with the build a little bit too much, and in not good ways, and I'd prefer to have a build that is truly cohesive. But there's the one that teleports you forward. There's the... Okay. So, there's that spell that teleports you forward and does, like, some amount of damage. There's Wish, which isn't bad because it increases our damage and cooldown reduction in close range. There's the Fortify spell, whatever that one is called. The one that makes it so you can't move, but you take, like, 80% less damage. I think it was, and if I had 2 of those, I would actually be able to have a near-permanent uptime on it. Oh, pain in the butt trying to kill this guy. Okay. But if I could get that one, plus a couple of defense boosts, actually if I could get 2 of that, and the teleportation spell, it wouldn't matter if we're, you know, if we're completely immobilized. We'd be invincible and not moving. The only problem we could potentially run into is I'm not entirely sure if armor has any holding on debuffs, like burning or poison, which is a concern. But, you know what? It's worth experimenting with. Let's just see what we get. Now that I was complaining about, you know, the rune drops being awful, we've gotten 2 fire runes, entropy rune, and a shock rune, which is usually pretty good. I think we need some light runes to get exactly what we want, though, but this does mean that we can get some nice stuff fairly early on. I hope. I really hope that we can get 2 more entropy runes, and I'm going to save them. Usually I use them on all sorts of things, because entropy runes have a lot of useful spells that you can create, but as it stands, I'm more interested in... Yep, that's a lot of rats. Well, okay, so we can go invincible, which is pretty tempting, so what I'm going to actually do, see if we can take out the rat's nest to a degree. I don't want to do it too long, though. I guess I can. Yeah, there we go. 1 is down, and that makes my life a heck of a lot easier. So yeah, hopefully I can get the required entropy runes very quickly. The other consideration is I could actually go for entropy, like double lightning, which is equally useful. It does have cooldown issues, like it could actually mess with our cooldowns, so that could be a problem. I don't know, I'm not entirely sure how I want to handle that one. Grizzly Intellect. It's pretty much necessary for this build. Wow, 3 shock runes, that's impressive. Oh, at this point, let's head for the exit. I'm full health and doing great. Oh, hey, we got an event room. So what do we have in here? Living statues. Okay, before I decide to take this on, let's go into the Runedex. Discovered, creatable spells. What triple spells do we have that we could make that's melee-ish? There's Tase, it's short, but it's got a long cooldown. What we need is close-up stuff. Tranquil Twigs. Oh, but it uses entropy. And this is something I was actually considering getting, just because it does give you an armor buff, and it could have some, you know, useful stuff. Especially if you get a lot of entropy runes into it. I almost should have maybe played the elf. Oh well, too late for that. Let's see, Vespers. The mouse is not exactly suited for this. There's Void Beast, which is a consideration, but I think I'm going to have to wait for it. Honestly, I don't want to use anything that uses entropy right now, because I've got too many things that are far more useful for that. So there's Biting Echoes, Ball and Chain, which I kind of wanted to use. It's tempting. Rip Current, nope. Elemental Mine, nope. Caltrops, nope. Red Lightning, nope. Brittle Boulder, Dark Scythe, Steam Blast, no. Prismatic Spray. Oh, this is longer cooldown though. That's not useful. We could also go for the Trail one. And, by the way, I have a note. There are a couple of you that comment on my videos that I think haven't linked to your profiles, your like YouTube profiles with Google+, and unfortunately that means I can't reply to you unless I send you a message, so A, check your messages in case I did reply to you there, but also, I know it sucks, but please link it with the Google Plus account so I can actually reply to you, because I want to reply to everybody, and it drives me a little bit nuts that I can't. But apart from that, let's just keep looking. Reverberations, Blazing Dash. You know what? I'm just gonna go with this. It's such a solid spell anyway. Yes, there goes one of our entropy runes, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, now since this is a statue room, I do have to worry about the bolts coming off of the statues themselves a little bit, but we should be fine. Yeah, double lightning was a good choice here. Even if the cooldown does get reduced as a result of some kind of weird global cooldown issue, it's probably still worth it. Entropy rune. Oh, and we're not done with this floor. I thought that was going to be the last. Well, let's just continue wrecking everything. Because I really do like double lightning. The only problem is, if we run into certain types of monsters, getting up close is going to be extremely dangerous for us. Oh, there's our third water rune. I could actually go for the Frost Blast and get rid of Chaos Bolt entirely. That's tempting. I guess I could just put it on anyway and just see if I can use all three. The only concern is if the the golden cooldowns, if the global cooldowns actually would prevent me from casting it, which is something I should probably keep in mind. Oh, there's also that Scream ability, Howl. I need to figure out what that one is, because, you know, Cone of Influence in front of us would actually be kind of fun as far as build goes. And that's it for the level, so I'm actually going to jump, just because it's pretty far to the exit, and I need to blow my nose. Okay, I was messing around with some other stuff. We want to go with movement speed. So we've got a new spell. Not new spell, but a spell to use. And the problem is, my kind of worst fears were confirmed. We do run into the cooldown issue of having Chaos Bolt and Double Lightning going at the same time, which is a concern. And I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to deal with it apart from Hello Shrinkify. Well, it works anyway. So what I can do is turn off auto cast on Chaos Bolt, and then immediately cast Rainfall again. And it pretty much works. It's a little bit more management than I was kind of hoping I'd have to do, but at the same time, skeletons are a pain in the ass when you're doing this. Okay, so cooldown reduction and toughen. It's not much, but it'll have to do. Apparently there's a health pickup in the last area. Okay, so yeah, took a little bit of damage there, but at the same time, probably worth it. So, as far as our spells go, Rainfall is definitely one of those that's kind of like lower on the priority list. I wanted to try it out, and I figured it would be a good, yeah, I guess it would be a good way of figuring out if Chaos Bolt was going to specifically give us problems. And the answer is, both Chaos Bolt and Double Lightning together are going to give us some cooldown issues along the way. As we'll pick up that health as... wow, we're getting a lot of health here. I really hope this persists, because if our health actually, you know, is fairly plentiful, well, this run will actually have, you know, a chance of success. Okay, so we got... oh, hello. I guess I've got nameplates turned off. Fortunately, the way this game handles the options is a bit problematic. Okay, so first and foremost, rain is useful, but also kind of a problem. And I think what the reality of this situation is the rainstorm ability would be great if I had Prismatic Devil already, and I don't. So it's going to take backseat for at least a little while until I can get, you know, my ass covered. Because the problem is, Rainfall is a bit on the short side of the cooldown spectrum. I'm also hoping that with Prismatic Devil we'll be able to fire a little bit slower so I can get all of my, you know, longer cooldown abilities in instead of using Chaos Bolt. At least it does seem to do insane amount of damage to rats, so it's actually got some pretty useful applications as we go along. It's just there are better spells out there, probably. I might not actually have enough spell slots for all the spells that I want to learn here, too. Because I don't think I'm going to do the Fortify thing. It's tempting, but I think that might be a separate one. So that might also get the teleportation attack out of there. That's a concern. That's a consideration I'm going to have to mess around with. Should probably take on the Mud Golems. They're the biggest threat to me right now. Because getting slowed down really messes up a melee build. I have to say, I am actually really enjoying going melee again. Purely because going melee does give me a lot of damage and flexibility. Okay, so we could go Lucky. Again, not sure if Lucky truly has as much of an effect as I think it does, but I'm just going with it just because the other ones, I mean, Grizzly Strength, the extra 10% damage really is useful, but at the same time the health reduction does kind of suck. So it's a balancing act. Speaking of balancing act, there's also just simply being accurate. Let's use Rain. Takes out the bats to a degree. Not as much as Prismatic Devil. I think that's the thing. The rain ability would be great. Actually, I think these are swarmers, not bats. Explains why they do so much extra damage. Holy crap. Murder his face. And apparently my inventory's already full. Now, at least we got lots of health pickups as we go along, and swarmers stop being so freakishly common as we go along. So I'm actually going to put a lot of these shock runes into Double Lightning, get that damage up, and I could put, let's see how many drops this increases it by. 40. It's not bad. Realistically, I hope we can get some more entropy runes as we go along, because if we can, or entropy levels. Hey, speaking of, there's another one. I'm not going to use it, though, because we're one away from making Prismatic Devil. And that's way better than a lot of other stuff. Wow, another shock rune. Really? Well, I'll throw it into this one. Because if double lightning does insane amounts of damage, then that pretty much makes everything in front of us die. So, I'm just going to cross my fingers that I get the ability to, you know, get a couple of those, like, +1 to entropy levels type perks. Because if I can get that, we're going to be solid as far as like, our attacks go. Because I think one of the things I've noticed is a lot of the melee type spells use a lot of entropy runes for whatever reason. I guess maybe shotgun mentality? I don't know. It's interesting to think about. Like, each rune kind of has a theme. Like, fire tends to be high damage, high cooldown. Shock is decent damage, short cooldown, but sometimes weird effects. So, let's see. That's Rainstorm. Yeah, I will have to say the Rainstorm just isn't going to quite cut it for this run, so I don't think I'm going to buff it any more than I already have. And I'll probably reserve those runes for something a little bit more useful. Maybe the room-wide attack, but maybe not. I don't know. It's one of those where it's like it's not as good as some of the other ones that we could potentially get along the way. Okay. Let's Rainstorm again. We're getting Light Rune, so we might actually be able to get that teleport attack. I think it's Light Rune based, but I'm having a hard time remembering. There's also Howl, which isn't bad. Howl does have a bit of a longer cooldown, but it does do a solid amount of damage, and that is definitely tempting. So, let's gather what we can. Exit's all the way over there. So, again, I think I'm going to cut while I get over there and mess around with my spells. Okay, so we're back, and I found it. It was not actually the combo I was thinking it was going to be, but makes things interesting anyway. So, come... Oh. Okay, so here we go. We got it. It's not as good as I was thinking it would be. Also, I have to make sure that it doesn't hit... Oh, don't want to pick that up. It doesn't hit the walls, because I think it can bring me to walls. Which is both useful and not. So, the spell itself teleports me to enemies. Pretty much... Absolutely basically. Let's turn off our autocast. Oh, what? Okay, apparently I spawned, or I teleported right to where a fireball was starting. Anyway, it's got some interesting applications, but at the same time, it does have some limitations that I was not considering. I was hoping that it would have, like, a larger effect, but it's not the end of the world. The stun is not nearly as substantial as I thought it was going to be, so I might actually have to put some points into it, or just write the spell off, which both are entirely possible. The other thing is, I would very much like to use it with Prismatic Devil. Unfortunately, we don't have that yet. And hopefully I'll get it shortly, but no guarantees. But I can use it kind of as an escape mechanism, which is convenient enough. And, I mean, the reality of the situation is, it's not bad, it's just not what I was hoping it would be. I was hoping it would be, like, quick, so I could go, like, super nuke style, but it's not the case. Oh, well, let's see, does rain bust up boxes? Yeah, it kinda does. I will say, though, it's becoming kind of obvious that the dwarf damage boost really, really requires you to be, like, up close and personal. I thought it would be kind of like a sliding scale, but it looks like it's a little bit more than that, which is unfortunate. Okay, so we've got Prismatic Devil now, and I'm gonna have to give up another shock rune. I'm trying to conserve them so I can make stuff, but I don't have any good combos yet. But now we can make Prismatic Devil, and we'll have to adjust from there. Oh, also, apparently I have a triple combiner already, which is mad convenient. Okay, let's see what I can make. Runedex, creatable spells. Creatable spells. Undiscovered. What have I not made? I've got a lot of fire runes, so I probably want to use those. Water, fire, fire. Sounds good to me. Water, fire, fire. Bam. Magma laser. Thick pillar of magma that extends to the end of the room. Cooldown is 3 seconds, does a fair amount of damage, and has it has strike through. And you can probably increase the size on it. Ah. Also looks like it has a short duration, so enemies walking through it could get hit by it too. That's really good. It doesn't have a place on this build, unfortunately. So in that case, I'll just keep going with what I've got for the time being. The question is, will double lightning plus prismatic devil make it so I can't cast anything else? No! Oh, this is perfect. Okay, so prismatic lightning, or the prismatic lightning combo actually works fantastically well, and now that I've got all of that going on, okay. It does look like whenever I cast another spell, it disrupts the casting time on double lightning a little bit, but that's still better than what I was thinking it was going to be. Because this way we can cast Rainfall, we can cast everything. Unfortunately, it seems like... Oh, you know what? I just remembered a tip I saw. Okay, Grizzly Strength, Entopic Body, wow, these are actually kind of all worthless. Okay, so the thing I saw in one of the loading tips was stunning doesn't actually prevent you from attacking. All stunning does is it prevents you from moving, which makes sense, but it does provide kind of a problem here with that teleport spell, because I was hoping that it would be a decently long stun that I could then use to, you know, more or less paralyze enemies while I murder their faces. Turns out, it's not very good. So we're in the market for a different spell. And Howl, I believe, I'm just going to use the teleport to dodge projectiles. Actually, that becomes hideously effective. Taken a fair amount still, but at the same time, it is actually getting me out of the danger zone. In a lot of cases, it's also getting me into the danger zone. So, I mean, it's kind of a weird balancing act here. Anyway, let's just keep going. I have to say, playing this game with a runny nose, or just recording in general with a runny nose, kind of sucks. One other thing that's potentially that I need to remember to do is my teleporty type spell. Well, I should be using Rainstorm in conjunction with it. Now, we're getting a lot of light runes here. Like a seriously large amount. That's a shock rune, too. Jeez. Okay. So, okay. So we got a couple of options. A, we can make, like, Lights Nova or something. Creatable spells. What involves light that I can make? Let's see, there's Wish. Wish isn't bad. Oh, it has to be discovered. There's Harting's Radiance, which is not terrible, but it is definitely scarier. There's Supernova, which actually would not be a bad complement to the build. I have to say, just sheerly because we'd be close range anyway. That's probably the best, because Wild Spirit's no good. Carapace is a nice armor buff, but it's not much, and it doesn't scale much. And yes, you can reduce the cooldown, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to say Supernova is our best option here, but don't want to make Carapace. There we go. Supernova, goodbye Rain. I'm just gonna get rid of that entirely. Or no. I'm gonna get rid of Shadowgate. It's got an interesting thing, but it doesn't do what I think it does, which is exactly the problem, if that makes any sense. Yeah, if there are a lot of jump cuts in this one, I apologize. That's just me blowing my nose, because holy crap, that is exactly what I was hoping for. Guess I might as well pick up the health while we're here. So, I put every single one of those light runes into Supernova. The maximum range on that spell has gotten insane, which is exactly what we need. Because, oh hey, boss. Whoops, looks like it's Nimbus. That might be a problem. Might not be, it's kind of hard to tell. Nimbus, I mean, we've got the close range pretty much down. And I'm curious about the clouds if they will knock us around. I'm going to stay away from the green just for a second. The clouds may knock us around, they may not. And that's the question I've got going here. We need nameplates for this one. Because the thing is, as long as we've got Prismatic Devil on us, we might actually just be able to... Holy crap! What the hell? Okay, that's amazing. I'm going with Soul Rip. So, interesting point about Nimbus. He can be damaged by the rain spell. Oh, that is a really good spell. Okay, I'm going to keep the rainstorm around. And I walk through a damage zone. Oh well, not a big deal. So what we need at this point are speed runes and dark runes, actually, sort of. There are a number of, like, sort of teleporty type buff spells that I have some potentially very useful applications for. There's the one that lets us remember where we go to and come back to it, which is hella convenient. There's the one that teleports to us to a random spot, and between the two of them, it's essentially, you know, damage and armor boost. And those would be really good, especially for A and B slots. Because I like Supernova. And I'm not going to get rid of that, because that's pretty much exactly the ultimate we need for this situation. I'd almost be tempted to actually make a second Supernova, but that seems like it would be really needless. Okay, so we got a triple combiner. What can I make with the runes that I got? Because right now I'm pretty satisfied with what I have. Undiscovered. So let's use runes that we usually use. So shock and fire. What one's shock, fire, mind? It's alright. Shock, water, mind. Shock, water, mind. Shock, speed, light. I'm actually getting through these shocks pretty quick. I'm not going to use the earth. Earth is potentially useful. How about water, shock, light? Water, shock, light. Perfect. Pacifism. Creates an area of calmness. Everyone that enters the area is stunned and banished while they're in it. Interesting. It's got a longish cooldown. I'm not going to use it. Obviously, it's nowhere close to useful for me, but it does have some interesting applications. And I'm going to waste the Earth Runes into Supernova, because I want that spell to be absolutely bonkers by the time we are done with this. Because I want to be able to kind of waltz right into people, you know, fire, fight them all, and then kaboosh. More or less just wrecking ball my way in. And then, turns out the wrecking ball was filled with explosives, very conveniently. Okay, so we can do cooldown reduction, which would be very good. Or I'm actually going to go with the maximum H... What's my cooldown reduction? I'm going to go with cooldown reduction. I don't know if this is going to cause me problems or not. Let's see. Okay, we're still fine, but after a certain point we might run into some issues. I just want to be able to be busting out Double Lightning and Prismatic Devil as fast as possible, because between the two of those, well, it'll put us in a really good spot. But we are on to Tier 2 with a Wrecking Ball build of all things, which surprises me and makes me very happy. So, I'll see you guys on the next episode of Runers, where we will hopefully just continue to wreck everything, because, I don't know, seems like we've actually got a chance of getting pretty far here. But I always think that after Tier 1.